Oh, thank. Hello, this is Joanne in Colorado. And good morning. I got some pine boughs finally. Everybody's dumping their leaves these days, so I'm sorry the camera is all wobbly today. I do not know what's going on. Here's my pine boughs. Tried to get them in big chunks so that they weren't just little skinny branches. The blue pot and the beige pot are going to get all of the flowers. I've been keeping flowers in them so far, but I'm going to cut the flowers out. And I'm going to take some starts off of my firecracker plant, put them in water in hopes that I can keep some of them alive until spring. Maybe root them in little pots. But anyway, the other live stuff, it's going to frost one of these days. Hasn't yet, but it's going to frost one of these days. And when it does, those are going to look really sad. So I left the flowers blooming on the other side of the yard, and these are going to get cut out. There's my neighbor's new tree. He had an aspen over there, that big white aspen, and now he put a red maple. Anyways, I have a honeysuckle still blooming, looking pretty. And that will come back in the spring. My impatiens over there, if it had frosted yet, which it was supposed to a bunch of times, if it had frosted, that would be black and just drooping right now. So, back to my pots. Those kind of boughs are big and wide and kind of, I don't know, roll sideways. Got a few juniper sprigs that were too dry. This is after I cut the flowers off. I will move those branches so they make more sense. The one on the right, I wish it was an aspen branch and nice and white, but I may spray paint it. I don't have any white paint today though, so I like to do a pearl or sparkly paint if I paint them so they all look white. Most of them are pretty tall. Not as tall as I would like all the branches. The one pot, they're just way taller. But anyways, those dry juniper branches are going to come out of that pot on the right. And I'll move those around so that the tallest one is going to be in the center. Here are my boughs. They're kind of, I don't know what kind of spruce bough. Anyways, looking at my, those kind of roll to the sides. I still need something that lays down on the plants, like those blue spruce ones. And you can see the sticks here, the branches. I had to turn them away from my feeder so that squirrels couldn't just run up and into the food dish and eat it all. And I will keep that branch away because, yeah, that won't work if it gets any closer. But as for the rest of them, I just try to make lots of little perches in any direction they come in and perch so that they can check out the water and the food and everything and be happy. So that is my tallest branches. And that's the way I like them. It keeps the hawks from being able to just zip through and grab a bird. So that's kind of the maze, the air maze. I want those to be taller on the right, but I'm happy with the blue spruce and the juniper berries, and I think those are crab apples that are down in there. Now this one, I'm going to have to move those to recenter them. I do like them to go out to the sides, kind of fill that space so nothing can come buzzing through between them. So I will find some more really tall ones. And when I find them, there will be a real tall, branchy one, hopefully, in the center of each of these pots. And then I can put some Christmas lights on them, or some nice little teeny LED blue lights. That'll look pretty. Kind of like a little starry sky. I have got a blue jay squawking. Oh, there's my flowers that I cut out. So many blooms. Okay. I have a drill that has a little auger, an inch round and about 6 inches long. And I drilled holes between the plant's roots. So you can see where I did it. Now I already dug some cannas, so the one in the center is probably down through a canna root, and there's holes there. Notice I didn't go through that plant's roots because I'm hoping that plant will come back. But I do got to put some blue spruce or something laying right over the top of those. So those holes will have big branches standing up. Hopefully that'll kind of fill it and make it look really fluffy. Give the birds hiding places. Some little seeds of the pine needles. Some of these sticks have to be cut at the bottom so that they'll go down in the holes. So I'm going to trim those up and make them so that they're a nice skinny sticks that can go down into the ground, into that 1-inch hole. There's my little berries. I try to get bird berries of all colors, but some big red ones if possible. I got a few hollies, but I didn't they didn't have any bright red berries on them. I looked, but they were buried. Most of it was buried under a whole bunch of big branches and really messy juniper stuff. Probably somebody's in the ground. Oh, excuse me. But I'm happy with those. There's one really thick, kind of right under the berries, juniper, and the rest of it's pretty much pine needles. Pine boughs. A bunch of little sticks that go up with a bunch of nice pine needles on them. They'll look really fluffy, but just not as thick or deep on each branch as they could be. So I kind of did them in a bunch of branches together to make it really full. So anyways, I am going to get started putting those in my pots, in those holes, and some of those will be tucked in around the branch or branches that stand up so that they're not wobbly. So I'm going to be making some wreaths soon with some greenery like that. So I will do a video and show you how I make Christmas wreaths. And the juniper branches that are in that blue pot, they look kind of dry. They maybe didn't the day that I got them, but they look dry today. So I will pull them out and make it look better. And this one has the fluffy branches that They're probably about 2 feet wide and kind of go in a curve. So I just kind of did them all around the sides, make it look fluffy, and then I'll put something standing up in the middle. Over here, my neighbor has a birdberry bush. I don't know what kind it is. Has these blue or purple berries. Yeah. If I can find some like that too in the recycle place or anywhere else where they'll let me have them, I like to put a few of those in Christmas wreaths or in these pots. So if you find stuff like that while you're looking for stuff to make Christmas wreaths out of that are nice and green and smell good, make sure you grab some sprigs of those because it'll really dress up a Christmas wreath. And it'll give birds something to eat here. So here we have, I'm hearing a blue jay squawk, or did when I was filming this. I had to go back and do the voice because the voice disappeared. So I'm trying to do the voice afterwards because you couldn't even hear it in the video. I hung this wreath up here with peanuts in it so that the blue jays would have food, but hopefully keep them out of the bird food dish. And I hung it on a long, thick wire to keep the squirrels from being able to get them. Because the squirrels would grab them all, and then they would go dig holes and they would bury them in all my flower pots. And the neighbors feed them enough peanuts, so let them have the pleasure of feeding the squirrels, and if any fall on the ground from the blue jays, they can have them. So I've got my boughs. That branch there is nice and tall. I'd take it and find a spot near the center where it can really stand up and just look bushy in the center. I wasn't trying to block your view of everything else I do here. I was just found a hole on the outside of those canna lily bulbs. And if I get this insulated enough, those cannas will come back next spring too, and I won't have to replant them. I had several come back last year from me having pine boughs and stuff in there. So as soon as I find some that I can kind of lay in the bottom, hanging out the sides, I just kind of lay the stems between the cannas that are standing up and the other plants, and it holds them just laying down on the ground. And that keeps them from frosting or freezing. And that is how I drill those holes with that drill bit. And man, it really does a good job unless you hit a really big root or something. And then you better watch out, hold your wrist real strong because the drill will flip around and feel like you're ripping your wrist off. But I usually know where there's a kind of in-between spot. And if necessary, I just go back and forth a few times, forward and reverse. But I love these branches because they just stand up and they've got so many little, it's like a mini trees. So it'll be really nice and green in the center. Give the birds lots of places to perch. And that's kind of a airy looking branch that kind of curved out in the center. So I just kind of did it. It's kind of bowl shaped a little bit, but I just did it on the back side to make it just look like a rounded tree. And my neighbor, he looks out his back window and that's what he sees is whatever I have there. So I try to make it look good on both sides. I don't want to just give myself a nice view and make it look ugly for him. He really likes it when I put the little Christmas lights up. I put those little mini LEDs, just little teeny lights, and it just looks like stars out there. It's pretty cool. And I put them up in the backyard early, and the ones around the deck or the top of the patio there, I leave on day and night all year round. If I ever go out there in the night and look outside and it's just dark out there, I realize I unplugged them for some reason. And man, just you can't see anything. And I've had coons and we've had bears and mountain lions all in our neighborhood right outside the fence. The coons have been in the yard many times at night, so I like to see what's out there. Just in case I set foot out there, I don't want to have too many surprises. So that flower pot's looking pretty good. I did get some, I can't think of what it is. Oh, holly. I got some holly. It didn't have any berries on it, but I got some holly and I put it in later. But I think I got a picture of it in the end picture. And I got a few little branches like this that are really airy. And I'm clipping the bottom ones off so that I can stick it in there. And you can see it's kind of curved like a bowl or a spoon on the bottom. And so I kind of stuck it in the ground with that curve so that those little fluffy branches would kind of stick out in the front and not just tuck up against everything that's in the front. I wanted it to branch out just a little bit. And I still have to put some blue spruce or some really dense pine needles or pine boughs on the bottom that kind of stick out on the sides, because I will lay those right over the plants and that'll be what insulates them for the winter. So I don't want to have them all the insulation standing up, and I want to be able to keep them warm so they'll come back. I'm trying to tuck this in, I think. If I remember correctly, I had to kind of try it 3 or 4 times to get it to stick in the ground where I wanted it. So something about it just didn't want to go in, or maybe there's too many canna bulbs underneath the ground there for it to slide in at that direction. But I did get it there where I wanted it. So what to do? If you try it and don't succeed, just try and try again. It'll come together. I cut the center of that branch off so I could have a taller one that I could put up on the side, and the shorter one so it would just produce the short stuff that I needed in the front. And it worked out just perfect. So I also look for white branches, the dark green. I look for some red twig dogwood branches because they're nice and red, and they really stand out, believe it or not, in that little arrangement. So, and then I try to get some of the silvery blue spruce, and anything with red berries or blueberries, the juniper blueberries. Man, in the winter, I had so many birds that came in on a really snowy day and just cleaned the berries out of the bushes, out of my pots, which was really fun to see. It was like they were so excited to find those berries in the winter, all there, right there by their water and food. So, and those little branches with the little red berries, those leaves will probably disappear, but they added some red for the time being. And I wish there was more berries on the branches, but that was all I could do. So I moved my focus over to the blue pot. And that camera is on it's a real bouncy, I don't know, one of those wire things that you can bend in different directions. And needless to say, it takes it a little while to be real still after I set it up. So, and that branch in the middle needs to go in the middle of the pot. But that's my one big juniper branch that just was really big and fluffy. And I just left it all together in hopes that I could just make the center of a pot really nice and green. It's better than 100 little branches that you got to stick in. And when you do this, make sure you wear leather gloves because those things are stickery. I usually put one on my right hand, drilling more holes for it. You got to really push them in there sometimes. And then if they're still wiggly or wobbly, just find some boughs or something that I can stick down in the hole with the branch and really stable it, get it stable. Make it nice and snug. In that case, I think I put one on both sides of it. I'm sorry about the camera view. Could have made it bigger, but some cameras and some positions, it's whether to see it up close or whether to see the whole yard and have it so far away you just don't know what you're seeing. So my allergies are still bothering me from working with all kinds of dirt and leaves and things, but it's worth every minute of it to be able to enjoy it looking good. This is the time of year that I get those little heaters and put them in my bird bath reservoirs too. I've been having a fun time trying to find all my little heaters, and I think I sold a few of them in the spring or last winter when I sold the bird baths. But sorry, I had to get that off of my springy thing. Wow. One would think I had never photographed anything. Oh, I know. I did kind of fast forward through some of this, sorry. Because it was pretty long before, but then I shortened it, so my apologies. Yeah, I bounced it all around the planet. The next video I make, when I finish these, I will for your sake and for mine, slow it down a whole bunch, and I'll just try to get a better view of the whole thing. So I did turn some of those juniper berries up and kind of lay them out so that you could see all the berries on them, because before they just weren't very visible. And this one, the hollies, I shouldn't have fast forwarded through all that. I'm sorry. Um, Tempted just to cut that off the end and show you a nice picture of it being done. I think I'll do that. Well, I had some fast forward stuff there that I just cut out. This is the final view of those with what I had. And I will make some more and finish them off as I find more greenery, more red dogwood, anything that'll add some pizzazz to them and give the little birds more places to perch.